I am Jordan Frazek from BrainCell here. During the course of this webinar, don't hesitate to ask questions in the questions box, and we'll be happy to answer them during the course of this webinar. I'm actually going to be circling back to them after this initial slideshow we're going to show you right here. So I want to introduce everybody in the webinar today. Again, thank you so much for joining us. If you're just coming in, this is Jordan Frazek, the marketing manager here at BrainCell, and we are going to be comparing today Microsoft CRM, Dynamics CRM that is, to Infor CRM, formerly known as SalesLogix. And today on the line, I have Ross Jones here. He's the VP of Sales Engineering here at BrainCell, and I also have Garrett Hogan. And Ross, are you there? Could you say hi to the audience for us?
I'll just take myself off mute. Hello and greetings, and I'll be showing my screen shortly. Thanks, Jordan.
Excellent. And Ross will be representing everybody the Infor side of today's webinar. And in conjunction with that, we have Garrett Hogan, who is BrainCell CRM and Sales and Engineering Mastermind. Garrett, are you also in the webinar? Can you just say hi to everybody?
Good afternoon, Jordan, and good afternoon to everyone, and thank you so much for attending the webinar today.
Excellent, excellent. So without further ado, guys, we are going to step into the slideshow, but we wanted to talk to you, just in case you don't know, a little bit more about BrainCell. We are a trusted technology advisor based in Boston. We are a non-biased consultant. I hope this webinar gives you a good idea of that, but we represent a large variety of CRM, ERP, and marketing platforms, so we're not a one-stop shop. We are a one-stop shop, sorry, we're not a one-trick pony. But we have been in business for about 21 years, and we have plenty of successful software implementations. And you can see on the right, we have a little diagram just debuting and kind of showing off our love of end-to-end systems. We do have a core focus on consulting before software, but more than likely that ends up going towards software and enabling our customers to do all kinds of actions with a full end-to-end system. And again, we might say that a couple times during today's webinar. So what is on today's webinar? Everybody, the agenda today, we're going to show you what's new. There's a lot new in each product, and that stems from Microsoft Dynamics and the new interface, the new sort of user experience that you're going to have using the product. And also in the Infor side, you know, a lot of you, even on the webinar today, are old SalesLogix users, and SalesLogix was named to Infor CRM, or it's renamed to Infor CRM. That means a lot to the product, and we're going to show what that means today. So we're going to go through the architecture of each one of these platforms. Is it cloud-based? Is it on-demand? Can you host it in your own environment? And next, we're going to jump into pricing comparison. That's going to come actually at the end of the webinar. So we are going to dive into a live demo as well of each solution. So I want to outline a little bit more about the product history of each of these CRM platforms, because they do come from such stable companies. They do come from such well-known companies. And I'll start with Dynamics. You do know of Dynamics to this point, perhaps, because it did start in 2003. It is part of the Microsoft stack, so if you're using other Dynamics products, more than likely you've heard of it. And it does play well with all of those products. So if you're using Microsoft products across the board, obviously you're going to get some benefit out of Dynamics CRM. So they introduced the Sharepoint integration in 2011 for Dynamics as well, and also the marketing integration in 2014. Just a couple quick hits on the product. So also there's been a new focus on Dynamics to the cloud, so there is an online update. And the 2016 release in fourth quarter is going to reflect that. It's going to be the sort of most nifty, nimble cloud offering that Dynamics has. Yet, switching over, everybody, on the Infor side, they acquired SalesLogix in 2014. Again, many of the people on this webinar now, they're SalesLogix users. They are aware of SalesLogix. They may not be aware that the product has been renamed. Upon acquisition, Infor has put in a ton of resources and money, quite frankly, into the product. Backed by over 4,000 employees, Infor, it really took SalesLogix in under its wing and made it into a product that you're going to see today. Extremely stable. Clients include Amica, Genzyme, RWC, and UniFirst. Actually, Infor also plays well with the marquee product of any CRM implementation, right? And that's Outlook. So they have an outstanding Outlook integration, XBAR. One of the best in the market, certainly. And it does rival what Dynamics can do as far as the integration to Outlook, even as a native product. Just a couple differences before we do dive into the actual demo of each product. Right here you can see that Dynamics is a pipeline-driven interface. You do get a lot of conversion-heavy, sort of wizard-driven interfaces within the platform that allow you to easily use the system with maybe no knowledge of the platform at first or limited knowledge of CRM in general. It's a really easy-to-use platform. I've written in a stable language, C#, HTML, and it also incorporates a lot of what we see now and a lot of what we see some of these CRM companies going towards, which is business process management and automation you now have that in Dynamics CRM. So again, natively integrated to other Dynamics and Outlook products, Microsoft products, with a strong service help desk as well. So Dynamics, if you're a service company, you may want to look at those tools. They do have a very nice service section or portion of the product. So again, natively integrated to Office 365, also another good caveat. And Infor. I'm going to switch back here to the right side of the screen. You can see that it is easy to adopt Infor, even among sales teams that are maybe not as technologically savvy as some other sales teams, or maybe in sales teams that people really don't want all the bells and whistles of certain CRMs. They want to simply get done what they need to get done. Infor is perfect for them. So it is deployable on-premise in the cloud. I wouldn't call that a differentiator, but we do want to talk a little bit more about what you're paying for in Dynamics Cloud. There's a couple more things that go into it. Again, strong Outlook integration. That really is a differentiator compared to other CRMs in the market. So we know Dynamics has a great Outlook integration, but Infor really tops out the market in the third-party integrations. Again, strong, simple. With mobile sales teams, it's amazing too. Infor has a really great mobile app, simple to use, has almost all of the options you would expect, and it stays on that rock solid architecture, something that, it won't gum up the system if somebody's using it no matter where they are. Ion integration, also important to note that Infor, the direction they really are heading is to integrate with native Infor ERP products, one of the strongest suits that they have as a company in general. Deployment options, we do want to talk a little bit about deployment here. There's really no difference in the way that both of these platforms can be deployed. One thing I do want to mention is there is a little bit more focus on add-on costs for on-prem Dynamics, and we're going to get into that later on when we discuss pricing here. So really, you can see that this Infor and Dynamics can both be deployed on demand, on-premise, and in a private cloud as well. We are going to move on to a live demo of each solution real quick. And I did want to pass over the ball right now to Garrett Hogan, who's going to be debuting Microsoft Dynamics CRM. And really, without further ado, we're going to jump into the product. We're going to spend about 15 to 20 minutes on Dynamics. I'm going to hit the pause button on Garrett, and then we're going to move over to Ross, who will then debut for you Infor CRM. So I'm going to go ahead and do that right now. Pardon me for 1 second, just need to get over here. And I'm going to be answering all of your questions too during the course of this webinar. I just need to pass over the ball to Garrett. So Garrett, are you there right now to pass over and to demonstrate for us Dynamics CRM?
I am here. How do I sound? Okay?
Sound great so far. And if anybody has any audio issues throughout the webinar, let us know. We'd love to make sure that we mediate those right away, okay?
And I've also shared my screen, and hopefully you can see my screen as well.
Absolutely.
We're going to dive right in, and we're going to talk. Perfect. We're going to dive right in here. In preparation for this webinar today, Ross and I got to talking about, ways of approaching these two systems. Very strong CRM programs in the marketplace. The simplicity in the way that they can be used, yet the complexity of what they can do for your business. It can be sometimes a bit overwhelming and quite striking. It's a quick hour. So Ross and I are going to focus really on the basic principles that make these two solutions worth your consideration. First being a basic day in the life scenario for a salesman, and second being getting the data analytics that you need out of a CRM solution as a manager, as the owner of a company, whether that be on a territory level, on a personal level, or on a national or international level. When we talk about simplicity with Microsoft Dynamics CRM, it's come quite far from when it was first introduced about 10 or 12 years ago. You'll notice a nice, easy to understand navigation bar at the top. Microsoft Dynamics is separating job responsibilities into several different buckets. If I was a salesman, I would log in the CRM and probably only see this sales area here, where I can view dashboard capabilities, my accounts, my contacts, my leads, opportunities. I can do quoting, and I've got a calendar view. If I was in sales, I may only log into Microsoft CRM and see the service panel. The service panel giving me things like case management, service calendars, access to articles and knowledge-based documents, and being able to monitor a queue. And of course, if I was in the marketing department, I may log into Microsoft CRM and only see this marketing panel, still giving me access to my companies, the accounts I work with, the customers, the leads, but also accessing the campaign management, the marketing list management, sales literature, and so on and so forth. So although this navigation bar expanded could look a bit overwhelming, one of the things that you do before you go live with Microsoft Dynamics CRM is you trim this down on a user by user or team by team basis so that you can drive those users specifically to what they need to accomplish. Yes, sir.
I apologize, Garrett. We are having some people who are saying that we can't see your screen. I'm getting other people that are saying you can. Can you make sure that the screen is shown, the play button in your GoToWebinar? If not.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's take a look here. It does appear that my screen is being shown to 96% of the audience.
Yes, I do have a couple of people that have come in with some difficulties or visual difficulties, but it doesn't look like it's widespread. I'm sorry, and we will make sure that we pass over the recording to you if you cannot see the screen. Feel free to stay on with the audio, and hopefully the video starts working soon. I'm not sure exactly what's going on there, but I guess we have 96% visibility. Yes. Thanks.
And keep in mind, we're here to present some offerings to everyone in attendance today. If for some reason you do have technical difficulties, we'll be happy to set up side demos. I'll be happy to continue this conversation to make sure that you pick the right solution for your business. For the demo today, we're going to focus primarily on the sales panel here. Okay, and the first thing we're going to talk about is the dashboard. When you log into Microsoft CRM by default, although you can change this, the first thing that a typical user wants to see is the dashboard view. Okay, the dashboard view is consisted of system dashboards. Microsoft CRM introduces about 20 different dashboards out of the box. You can create your own personal views, and each one of these dashboards has different dashlets that make up the dashboard. So in this Microsoft Dynamics CRM overview dashboard, you can see there's a sales pipeline, a leads by source campaign, priority cases, and then of course my activities the day as a user. Completely customizable, completely available to not only create additional dashboards but also share them with other users. The idea being that as I log into the system, I need to get to work, and dashboards get there, whether it's showing me my pipeline, my calls that I need to make, my meetings, and so on and so forth. Dashboards can get pretty intricate. You may find yourself in a management role where you need to see several different dashlets to accomplish the goals that you need for the day. If I go down to this sales activity dashboard, it gives you an example on how Microsoft handles that behavior. Here you can see that the sales activity dashboard has a sub-tab called Sales KPIs with it looks like about 5 dashlets that make up that section. I can click on Sales KPI and minimize it and go down to an activities subsection, which shows me additional information. Now I like to show you this because it keeps the end user from having to drill around to all these different dashboards. You can create a beautiful dashboard with several different tabs that you can expand and contrast and quickly get about the information you need, even if it's a lot of different types of information. For each of these different dashlets, you'll also notice there's some behavior at the top right-hand side. In this example right here with the sales dashboard, you may find that the panel that you've created is a bit too small for the amount of data that it's trying to display. You don't have to take up your entire screen to resolve that issue. You simply just enlarge that dashlet when you need to get a drill down into that information. In this sales leaderboard dashlet, you'll also notice it is a bar chart. If I wanted to actually see data, I can click on this list view and it will take that dashboard and drop it directly into a list view with a side dashlet that I can do some additional data mining with. More on that in a second. And then finally, you do have a refresh option. For certain dash lists, you have the ability to filter through. So for my open leads dashlet here, I am currently viewing my open leads. I can click on that drop down. I can now see all leads in the system. I can even search for a record if I need to, say Burke or Susan. Okay, and I can jump directly to that record as a result. Dashlets also appear in each of the different entities that make up Microsoft CRM. So as I click on this drop down here, and I move over to our opportunity view, for example, the first view that you see as you enter an entity like opportunities or leads or companies is going to be a list view. And it works very much like the behavior of the dashboards. I have several different opportunity views that come default out of the box. I can create my own personal views. I can share those additional personal views with other users. Those personal views are simply just based on a filtering criteria through the way you're doing lookups within your system. So here we are, we're looking at all opportunities, and you'll notice over here on the right-hand side, I've got a sub-panel that's displaying all deals won and lost based on this opportunity view here. Okay, I've got some wonderful Excel functions here that I could use, like filtering. So I could click on the filter button, and perhaps we'll filter by a specific owner of the opportunities, maybe Veronica. Okay, so we'll use Veronica here. We've added a filter to the list of all opportunities to just show Veronica's opportunities, and you'll notice that the chart refreshes on the right-hand side. You'll also notice that now I have the ability to click on one of my chart bars and drill in. For example, perhaps I wanted to drill in through all of her open opportunities that have been won and look at the additional data regarding, say, when they closed. So here I'll go to my close date field. Oh, I don't actually see that one. Okay, we'll do estimated close date, and now of course I can drill further into that existing dashboard and get additional information. And again, it's all based on the filtering I'm doing over here on the left-hand side. If I want to drill in again, I can do that. I can drill down and drill down and drill down and continue to use dashboard capabilities. Now, this is going to alleviate a couple of different things. One, it alleviates the need to run reports because the dashboards have become so sophisticated now, we don't have to run reports. Reports are wonderful things to have, and it's not going to completely eliminate reports from your day-to-day or your week-by-week. But once you run a report, that data is stale. Dashboards are giving you real-time data analytics into your company. The second thing that dashboards in Microsoft CRM are going to allow you to do is hand over the control of the reporting needs to the end user. Microsoft is smart enough to know that the end user has come in a long way over the last 15 years. And by giving them this kind of capability, you're cutting back on your administrative and your IT responsibilities. The end user can understand how to do this. Give it to them. They should have to request, these types of answers from the system, from IT or administrators. And of course, if you want that control, if you want the users to be limited in how they're looking at data or viewing data, Microsoft CRM is going to allow you to do that as well through their permissions.
And Garrett,
okay,
I just want to pause for 1 second to remind everybody that if you have any questions, don't hesitate to ask them in the questions box. We'd be happy to answer them throughout the course of the webinar. And at the end, we're actually going to break and debut a few of those questions for a Q&A session. We'll have about 10 minutes at the end of this to answer any questions that weren't answered, perhaps during the webinar itself. So remember the questions box on the right-hand side. Thank you.
Thank you, Jordan. So we've got two different angles that we can approach our data analytics. We've got our main dashboard view available from our home page here. And then, of course, for every entity that we have in the system, we're going to have side panels that are going to give us additional data regarding that specific entity. And in this case, they can be hidden, or they can be for your viewing pleasure, or they can be expanded, and Microsoft remembers that decision. Also, if you'll notice here, one more thought about analytics and research is Microsoft is getting closer and closer to its integration with things like Word and Excel, Office 365. Everything comes pre-packaged now. I could be looking at a filter view here, and I could take that information and I can drop it right into Excel Online. I can drop it right into a dynamic worksheet or a dynamic pivot table, so that I could further analyze that information if I needed to. Save that information to a dynamic pivot table, upload it to our SharePoint site for review by the team. Okay, let's go through a simple process of taking a lead, qualifying that lead, and creating the account, the opportunity, and the contact record. If you haven't looked at Microsoft CRM in a while, it has changed quite a bit over the last couple of years with the introduction of a business ribbon. A business process ribbon is wonderful for a couple different ways. Why don't I go ahead and just create a new lead here. So business process ribbons do several different things. They keep the data clean in the system. They keep the data consistent in the system. New users have a wonderfully fast adoption rate because they're following along a storyboard. Okay? In this example, with the out-of-the-box business process, the first thing the salesman is going to do is qualify the lead. He's going to capture their information, and as he qualifies that lead, he's going to create an opportunity with that lead. CRM is going to create an account record and a contact record along that process. The salesman is going to propose a solution for the opportunity at hand, and then finally, the opportunity is going to come down to being either won or lost. At that time, company decision typically, you would create a quote, generate an invoice directly from CRM, or you may push that information directly into your ERP and accounting system for the invoices and quotes to be generated from that side. The business process ribbon can be customized specifically for the business processes that your company has, and every company really has business processes. Some companies don't have them defined, but they exist. You could have multiple different types of business process ribbons in the system, and depending on the value of an opportunity or perhaps the type of product interest the lead was interested in, the business process ribbon can change. You just have to tell it the criteria. So this is the out-of-the-box new lead form with the business process ribbon in play. We've got a couple of things that we need to complete as we move through these stages. You'll notice at the top right-hand side of the screen, we're logged in as a CRM admin. This is a new lead. Rating has been automatically set to warm. And our lead source has a wonderful drop-down for, again, more data analytics, reporting, and consistency in the system. I'm going to go down here and I'm going to enter in some information. Topic of this lead is widgets, 170 pallets, 70 pallets of widgets. All right, that's great. Bear with me. Always on a demo. Okay. Let's go back here to our lead bucket, and I'm going to go ahead and create a new lead. And we're going to say 170 pallets of widgets. It's asking us for the contact's name. We're going to say Joe Smith. Job title is the buying manager. Throw in a couple of phone numbers here. Joe at techco.com. Over on the left-hand side below, it's asking for the company name, Techco, tech.com, and his address information. West Street. Connecticut. Okay, so we've started our process, and our business ribbon is asking us to complete a couple of tasks before we move on with this lead record. It's asking us, does the contact already exist in the system? Okay, does the account already exist in the system? If so, we would make an association with that lead at this time. What is the lead purchasing time frame? So we'll say immediate. We've got an estimated budget of $40,000. Wonderful question. Is he the individual decision maker, or is this done by a committee, or do we just not know the answer to that question? In this case, he is the individual decision maker, and now that we've identified the individual decision maker, we're going to mark that as complete. We can put in a little summary here. Needs to finalize order by
And Garrett, I did want to just stop you for 1 second.
Yeah.
One, to tell you that you have about 3 minutes left in your demo. And we also have a question that really can only be answered at this point in the webinar. And can this interface with a business card scanner is a question that I got from the audience.
Yes, though business card scanners are typically kind of going away. Short answer is most of the scanners that are available on mobile devices now use the camera option of the mobile device, and there are several that are available that integrate directly with Microsoft CRM. So you're taking a picture of the business card through your mobile device, and then of course that information is being fed directly into the system. Okay, so we finished the first stage of our business process here. Yes, we've got the ability for interacting with other users in a live feed about this lead. We can talk to other people. We've got our phone scheduling capabilities. We've got our calendar capabilities. We've got our ad hoc note area here, our shared OneNote capabilities. If I scroll down here into the lead, I can see additional information such as tracking competitors and then details about this lead. Okay, I'm going to save this lead record here. And at this point in time, now that the record is saved and I've made my follow-up calls and so on and so forth, I'm going to go ahead and qualify that, yes, we're about to do business with this lead record. Now, once I qualify this record, what Microsoft Dynamics CRM is doing is it's taking the account information and creating an account record. It's taking the contact information and creating the contact, and it's now moved us in and created a new opportunity. With the new opportunity comes additional information. For example, what sales stage are we on? Okay. Let's go down to current situation, customer need, proposed solution, sell them widgets. Okay, and as I scroll down a little bit further, I've got my product line items. So here I can quickly choose my products and add them to the sales opportunity. And now I'm going to go up to my business process ribbon, and I'm going to start clicking and filling out the remaining information that it's requiring me to complete. Okay. From this point on, I can set our estimated close date, move on to the next step. I know we're getting short on time, and I apologize. Additional processes available to us, and then finally we have the ability to generate a quote, email that quote directly to the customer. Once that quote is created. And again, your business process may dictate that you don't even get to the quoting stage, that it's quoted through another solution, but the options are there. I'm going to activate this quote now. Okay. If I want to go all the way to the order stage, I can do that. I can create an order. And when I do that, it asks me to close out the quote, close out the opportunity, and I can do that with one nice click. So I've run through the business process, I followed the instructions, and from this point, I've been able to create a lead, to an opportunity, to an account, to a contact, in a couple easy clicks. Okay,
awesome,
I know I'm short on time. I know I went over a bit, so why don't I go ahead and hand this off to Ross?
That's great, and I hope you understand our passion, guys. We only have 20 minutes per each product. We could sit here for a lot longer than that talking about them. So it's a quick hit overview. If you have more functionality that you want to know about, again, ask some questions to us, and we'll be happy to show you more functionality after the webinar concludes as well. And I'm going to go ahead and make Ross Jones now the presenter. He will be presenting the highly anticipated Infor CRM package.
Okay. Good afternoon, everyone. Can you hear me? Jordan, you can hear me okay, yeah?
Yep, we can hear you.
Okay, right. So I'm going to kick off this, and I saw on the list of attendees some names I recognize. Well, greetings, folks I know, and those I don't know. I look forward to getting to know you. Purpose of this afternoon is sort of twofold, really. One, sort of a compare and contrast, as we've been doing with Garrett, taking a look at MS CRM, but also just to give you a bit of an update on where Infor is going with the product. So currently, just for the benefit of those who are SalesLogic's Infor CRM users, and obviously the name is synonymous, it's the same product, but it's now owned by Infor, as Jordan mentioned. The current version is 8.2.0 with an update 0.1. So it's 8.2.0.1 is the current version. And if you're on an 8.2 version and you don't have the 0.1 update, there is some benefit of having that. And I'll just very briefly tell you what those are so that you can be brought up to date. You may know already, but you may not. So the first thing to note is I'm logged in as a separate system here as an administrator. So anyone who's administering the system, you will know on earlier versions that there was the capability to open the form manager and modify the views on the screen. Change labels, drag and drop, move things around on the screen. What is now available is an entity manager, and what that allows you to do is to actually create fields from scratch in any of the entities, in the account and the contact, any of those entities. And here is just an example. I'm in the account entity, and I've chosen to add a field. I can label that field, add it into the system. Once it's in the system, I can then drag and drop it onto the screen using the form manager. So first thing to note is that is new in 8.2 update 01. There's some enhancements too to the mobile product, and I've got the mobile client in the background here. Imagine this is your iPhone or your Android device. Again, if you're not familiar with this look and feel, and you're using 8.0 or later, then you should be able to download a mobile client and start utilizing that. Whether or not you're on a web client or a LAN client, you can open up the web server on your system and allow access to the mobile client should you want to do that. So the other thing that's happening is this. The third thing that's happening, which I'll just briefly allude to, is XBAR. Some of you are already using it, some of you won't know what it is. So just briefly, let me just touch on what it is. It's a module that installs within, this is my live Outlook client, and what it does is load real-time data from information pulled from a record found in Infor CRM using an S-data feed. If that is meaningful to some of you, then it's very easy to configure. And you just literally point at your database, and it goes and finds that email address and pulls back a record. So on this particular test email, which I've sent to gibsonjones@yahoo.com, happens to be my dog, if anyone's interested, doesn't really exist, but there is a contact record in the system. As you can see, it finds a record. Gibson belongs to this account. Notice these are hyperlinks, so I can actually do things in real time inside Outlook. I could, for example, update this record. I can also see what's going on with the account to which Gibson belongs. Hazelmere has got opportunities, 4 opportunities worth 212K, but also an open ticket, and I can drill in to see this information. If I want to, I can also edit the contact record or the account record by just simply clicking on it, and it'll pull the information back now. I could edit the name, the contact information, whatever it is I want to do. There's also another enhanced piece of functionality that has been asked for by users of SalesLogix over the years, and that is, but what if Gibson Jones doesn't exist in my database? I don't want to have to go into SalesLogix, Infor CRM, to create a new record. Well now, let's say this was an incoming email and I've highlighted it, the system will go and poll CRM. It won't find a record, and let's say I wanted to create this record, Ross Jones, out there in my database. Notice it's grayed out. Ross Jones does not exist in CRM. I could simply highlight his address block, name, title, all the rest of it, phone numbers, drag this into this bar, and it's going to ask me, do I want to create a contact or a lead? Let's say I want to create a lead for the sake of argument. And now it'll pass that data, pulling out the company name, first name, last name. It's making a stab at what it sees here, and it's pretty good. Picked up the work phone, home phone, got that wrong, but it's got my title, it's picked up other bits of information. So now I can create in CRM from Outlook a new contact or lead record. So I'm not actually going to do that, but you could do that live from here. So the point to note here, I don't want to dwell too much on this, but it's really important for those folks who are using CRM, but a lot of the users live in Outlook. Now you have almost CRM Lite over here that you can see what's going on and see how important this client is, for example. There's 212K's worth of opportunities that are still open, but they have a problem ticket. We can dive into this more detail on a separate occasion if we so wish, but I'm just going to move that out of the way. So a lot of the things that you know and love about the product, that those of you who are familiar with it, are still there. What is happening, because now Infor owns the product, is, as Jordan alluded earlier, is that serious investment is taking place in the behind the scenes. The product development and product management group has been massively expanded, again, as Jordan mentioned, and real heavy lifting is being done in the background to bring the product, to enhance the product and to move it forward. One of the couple of areas that you might be interested in, because these questions keep coming up, bear in mind you're on 8.2.0.1 at the moment. The new version, 8.3, is slated for actually this month, January. And coming in that, let me just whet your appetite with what's coming in that. A couple of things. On the mobile product, at the moment, it's not, remember, it's not a client, it's not an application, it's a live client into a URL, and it reads data in real time. One of the questions that was asked was, it would be really nice to have some cached data on the phone, on my device, so I could look at stuff offline. Well, that's coming in 8.3. So watch this space. When the new version, when 8.3 comes out, then you're going to have the sort of My Briefcase option with mobile client, and you can choose what data you're going to have and store locally on your phone. So when you don't have cellular data, you're middle of the boonies, you don't even have a cell signal, but you can access some of your CRM data on your device. So that's going to be new, and that's coming. You're going to have the ability to import more entities in 8.3. At the moment, there's an import wizard, as you probably know. I can import leads here, and then there's a wizard to allow you to import accounts and contacts. Coming in 8.3 is the ability to import users, tickets, opportunities, lead sources, and a modified version of importing accounts. So the import toolkit is being updated. Also coming, because I've been asked this question a lot, Windows 10 and Office 2016, are they supported? The answer is yes. 8.3, so the 8.3 release coming in January is going to support both of those. And the last thing that I'll just add into the mix that I'm aware of coming in 8.3, there may be more, but this is what I've been told, a new entity is going to be created. At the moment we have opportunities and sales orders, and as you know, users of the system, if you want to create a quote, it uses Mail Merge and Word to create a quote from opportunities. Well, in 8.3, a new quote entity is being created. That's going to be a new database entity in the product. So I wanted to get that off my plate quickly so that, again, you can take note of that. And if, as again Jordan said, we're not going to get through everything today because there's a lot to cover, but I'd be more than happy to go into more detail and do a more detailed demo for any of the folks on the call today. Just reach out to us separately, to me or Jordan, and we'll set up a time to do that. So some of the other things that Infor is doing, just sort of in the background, I'm not sure how many of you use Infor ERP products, but there are a number of ERP products that are manufactured by, made by Infor. And one of the prime reasons for Infor buying SalesLogix is so that they could have a full-fledged, full-blown, well-established CRM tool to integrate with all their ERP products. There's a middleware product called Ion, and the Ion is enables connectors between ERP actually and other applications to connect through Ion to CRM. So this is very interesting to ERP customers, who Infor ERP customers, and a lot of folks are coming to us and say, this is cool, we'd like to now utilize and integrate SalesLogix Infor CRM with their ERP product. So that's a lot of what's going on in the background, and that's a lot of what Infor has been doing in the background as well. So a couple of things I wanted to draw your attention to. One of the things, if you're not familiar with SalesLogix, the Infor CRM product, then it's worth just dwelling on this. To my mind, it has one of the cleanest interfaces out there for CRM tools. It's been around, well, I remember using it in '99, so it's been around 18 years, is that also 17 years? It's probably been around getting on for 20 years. So it has a strong legacy SQL database backend, as you all know. It can be deployed, as you probably know, as a LAN client, and some of you may be using the LAN client, the Windows client. That's not going away anytime soon. It can also be used in parallel with the web client. This is what we're looking at here. And the web client can be deployed in the cloud. We're looking at CRM Cloud here, utilizing the Infor cloud, but it could also be deployed in your own private cloud, Rackspace or your own Amazon account. You could install it in a virtual server there if you wish. So it's got some flexible deployment options, but you probably knew that. The system itself continues to be enhanced for cleanness and ease of use. And again, anyone familiar with this, you would be maybe aware of that. And I'll highlight a couple of things that if you've been using the Windows LAN client, you may not be aware of, because some of these bits of functionality are unique to the web client. One of the things I want to draw your attention to is the look and feel of the screen. If you're using LAN, then this is similar layout to the LAN in as much there's detail at the top, and the rest of the information is going to be stored on tabs beneath. All these tabs show the information that's stored. I can show more tabs if I wish and pull up additional information that I don't want to show right now, but I may want to see it later. So any other additional data can be stored on a tab and hidden from view. Let's say I want to see the assets sold to this client, then I can pull that tab up. If I don't want it anymore, or a different person doesn't need that, I just simply move it out of the way and get rid of it. So the point here is that it's easy to configure your screen, keep the data nice and clean on the screen. To toggle from a detailed view into a list view, after all, a lot of the time I'm not in the weeds on a client, but I want to look at the broader picture. I can toggle this button and hit the list view. And when I'm in the list view, there's some interesting things that I can do here. And I'll just show you what they are if you're not familiar with this. Some of you will be, so apologies, but some of you won't be. And as I say, one of the strengths of Infor CRM SalesLogix has always been the ease at which you can find information. After all, if we're pumping information into CRM, that's great, but it's the ease of which you can get that data out that makes it really useful. So for example, here's all the accounts that this user, and this is Barbara, I'm logged in as Barbara just to confuse you, she can see 1,000 accounts, and perhaps she's going to schedule a business meeting or a business trip out into the Midwest, and she's going to fly to Chicago. And while she's going there, she would be really useful to have a bunch of her, say, Illinois customers to hand. Anyone familiar with the system, you know you could create a group by right mouse clicking, add a new group, and I could create a query to do that. What's new in the web client, if you've not seen this before, is the ability to filter data on the right here, right-hand side. So I could say, just open up the type field, and I just want to say, where the account type equals customer, watch what happens to the screen as soon as I check it. Checked, data worlds, 343 customers, they're all customers. and they're in the state of Illinois. And I may want to grab Illinois here. And as soon as I've checked that, so they're a customer and they're in Illinois, or they're in Georgia. Not quite sure why I'd want to go to Georgia as well as Illinois, but I can add an or statement in there as well. Turn that off again, just back to Illinois customers. Once I've found that data set, I can quickly add it to an existing group, save it as a group. Actually, I've already done that earlier. You can see I've got Illinois customers. Push that group to my dashboard, and it'll appear out here on my welcome area while I'm planning my trip. It's quite useful to have all this data slice handy. And because this is a dynamic group, it's created on a query where it's Illinois and a customer. If that is true, it will pull the record. If in the meantime someone promotes a prospect to a customer, then the next time I look at this group, then there will be 18, not 17 records. That's interesting here, but again, I'll just quickly touch on a similar filtering in opportunities. Again, on the basis that there's power in the ease of which I can get information out of the system. Right, here's a view of all opportunities in the system. Anyone who's running sales pipeline, take note, this is useful. So this is all opportunities, but closed, won, lost, everything. I just want to do a filter. Notice the filters are different. I want to see where the opportunities are open only, because we're looking at pipeline. Down from 540 to 130, the filters are different. As you saw, I now have an estimated close, and they're due to close in January, this month. Click. So now I've got open opportunities, closing in January for everybody. I could drill in again and say where the account manager is Lee Hogan. Click. And now, if we have a live, weekly sales meeting, we can go around the room or the virtual classroom and say, Lee, tell me about your deals, and he can look at these deals. You may also want to say at this point, were there any deals that didn't close in December? Let's just pull those up for a second. Oops, Lee, you got 2 deals that should have closed. Why didn't they close? And now you can address an issue. And to simply clear the filters, you can hit the clear all button and you're back to where you were. And anytime you found a subgroup, remember, you could store that down the bottom of the screen. You could save the records as a group. So Lee could save Q1 opportunities by selecting January, February, March here, and for where he's been notified, and you could save it as a group, save it as a window over here, and it's very easy to find that information and get back to that information. So that is, again, for people who are using Sales Logics but may not have been in the web client, that's sort of important. So just bearing in mind too that over in the mobile client, one of the changes that's coming here at the moment, I can look up all my accounts, say, and find Abbott by doing a search. What is going to come in the next edition is, actually, it may all be in this edition, come to think of it, any group that I create in the web client here is going to transfer over to the mobile client. So I could find my Illinois customers group if I wanted to. So I'm running up against the clock, very, very quickly going to land there. So just to summarize my take on what's going on with Infor CRM, I'm not going to get into the weeds of how to do things a day in the life. We can do that on a more detailed demo if any of you are interested. But I wanted to show you the ease of use, the ease at which you can find information group-wise to dive into the records that you need to see. All that is at a click away. All of that is going to be available on your mobile device as well. Mobile is free, and the XBAR piece, which is also, you may not have been familiar with, is also free to you, and you can just download that and install it in your Outlook client. How am I doing for time, Jordan? Am I about there?
Yep, you're just about to the point where you need to wrap up. I'd say you have about 15 more seconds.
Okay, well then I'll probably wrap up there then. So again, feel free to ask any questions of us now, and we've got some time at the end up until the top of the hour. Anything we can't answer, we'll get back to you with. And again, if any of you are interested in seeing this in more detail, very happy to do a much more detailed demo, and we'll allow an hour or more to go into the particular details of what you might like to see. All right, I'll hand back over to you then, Jordan.
Thank you. I appreciate that. And so I just wanted to wrap up the session. We're going to have that Q&A session in about 5 minutes, folks. And I wanted to wrap up the session with a why Dynamics, why Infor, and a pricing comparison as well for each product. So why Dynamics? Well, as we mentioned before, there's a great help desk tool in Microsoft, so if you are a service-based organization, it will fit that niche very well. In addition, continuing the Microsoft stack, GP, Azure, etc. If you're using all of these Microsoft products, Dynamics may be where you'd want to look. Also, easy to follow processes, and you just saw those ribbons earlier. It does feel like another Microsoft product as well. So if you're used to that, if you question that for your user adoption, Microsoft could be a really great solution in that it is easy to use and pick up. So similarly, why Infor CRM? Well, Infor has very strong mobile capabilities. If you have a mobile sales team that needs an easy-to-use, solid CRM, Infor is that tool. It feels like SalesLogix. I know we had a lot of SalesLogix users on the call today. And if you do use SalesLogix, or if you have in the past, it's going to feel very similar as a fast, stable, and easy-to-adopt platform. So also, again, third-party integrations for Outlook. Really, nobody does it better than Infor CRM. You did see the X-Bar right now and the continuing improvements to the X-Bar. Really exciting stuff coming out of the Infor camp when it comes to the Outlook integration. So we're going to go through a quick pricing estimate right before we jump into Q&A. And this pricing estimate is going to be for some random company, XYZ company, with 30 seats and an annual subscription. So I did want to go through a little bit, Microsoft and Infor, the professional versions of each product. So if you're going to be in the professional version of each product right now, you'll be aware that both of them cost the same per user per month, Dynamics and Infor at $65 per user per month. But if you're going to use the Office 365 version of Dynamics, it would be $80 per user per month. Important to know that Infor, that's not available, but we do see that you can implement both of these products on-premise. So I did mention at the beginning of the webinar that the Dynamics pricing for on-premise does have a little bit more to it than what you see right here. There are some add-on options. There are some other things that you need to purchase. But you can compare what 1 user and 30 users of on-premise Dynamics cost compared to Infor as well. I do have to make the caveat that these numbers will be a lot closer to each other when you do consider all of the other products that Microsoft sort of kind of has you bring into the fold as you deploy on-premise. So quickly, we're going to go through a Q&A session. I do have a question right at the top of the list right now. What would some of those integratable products be, and does Data.com integrate with this CRM? So no, Data.com does not. It's a Salesforce native product. Does not integrate with Microsoft CRM, actually. And some other integratable products that we may have been talking about, that would be Azure, that would be GP, to the Dynamics stack. I think if you're referring to the Dynamics stack, that's what we're talking about here. And I did have a couple other questions about marketing in each platform too. So in Dynamics, how can you market in Dynamics? There is a Dynamics Marketing Cloud. If you want more information about that, get in touch with us after this webinar. We can also tell you that integratable to Dynamics, we represent Acton here. That is a fantastic solution when it comes to integrating to Dynamics. So if you need some advanced marketing tools or some marketing automation tools, I would definitely look Acton's way, but there's other tools in the market as well. Again, we can take that conversation online too. So I'm going through a couple of these questions, and we had answered a few of them in the background. We will be sending you the recording as well as a PDF version of our slide deck today. So I do have one other question. Does Infor integrate with their PMS system? So Ross, does Infor integrate with Infor's PMS system is a question I got from the audience.
I was on mute, sorry about that. The answer is I'll check, because it depends. It may be, I alluded to the fact, I mentioned that earlier on, that ION is the center where, and if there is a connector built between any of the Infor products, then the chances are it will. But can we table that for now? And if Jordan, take note of who it was, and we'll get back to them with a definitive answer.
Absolutely, yep. And we have all of your questions written down too, so we will address them off the webinar as well. It doesn't look like there are any particular questions that need to be answered over the airwaves, but if anybody has any right now, this is the time to do it. We do have about 5 minutes left in the webinar, and we did go over pricing quite quickly. So does anybody have any more questions before we take off today from this webinar? I'm not going to lie, I expected a few more from everybody today. And I do see that, what is the home screen in Infor? Is it the Outlook screen? That's a good question. No, it is not. The Infor home screen is a dashboard just like any other product that you saw in this webinar. I'm sorry, just like Microsoft is. But no, we showed you the X-bar, and we showed you that first just to show you what's new in Infor, being that SalesLogix did not have as up-to-date as the Outlook integration, and really the Outlook integration for Infor is so good and has such rich features that we wanted to sort of go there first. And the X-bar is included also in Infor as well, so it's no extra charge for the X-bar. And I actually got another question coming in. Can we describe the marketing possibilities of each one of these CRM systems? The possibilities when you integrate a marketing tool like Act-On are really endless when it comes to marketing automation, when it comes to marketing to folks that visit specific pages on your website, when it comes to viewing all of those website histories in the CRM itself, when it comes to automatically sending out emails based on behavior and profile conditions. That can all be done with a marketing automation tool, and is usually best done with a marketing automation tool. But Dynamics out of the box does have, again, a marketing cloud. We'd love to show after the webinar concludes. Again, best done when you talk about the overarching possibilities of marketing with either platform. Best done through a marketing automation tool like Act-On. Again, I keep saying that name, but it does integrate with both of these platforms beautifully, and it is a real-time integration. And is there any other questions that I can answer today on the call? I would love to bring them out into the open. Again, the questions box right there on the right-hand side of your screen. Just fill that out. And if I don't get any in the next 30 seconds, which doesn't look like I'm getting right now, I do want to thank you all for joining us today at this webinar. This was a lot of fun, and I know that we only got 20 minutes each for each product, but we hope you at least got your eyes and ears open to these products, that you got the light bulbs going off in your head. And once again, we really want to thank you. If you do have any questions, don't hesitate to reach out to me, Jordan Frazek. I am the marketing manager here at BrainCell, and you can see my information on the bottom left side of your screen. So thank you, everybody, and I want to wish you a very good day. Happy selling.
Thanks, everyone. Bye-bye.